good, everybody? My Paper Moon fam. It's your boy, PaperSIn, aka the Hokage of the village, hitting in that loud. You feel me? And when it comes to money, people like to say that money is the root of all evil. In my opinion, money is just a tool, just like a hammer or, a tool, that kind of tool. And it can be used in different ways, like for protection or for corruption. In my opinion, it brings out who you already are. If you are if you are already a good person, low key, then you get money, you might turn into Mr. Beast. If you were a bad person, corrupt person, low key, and you get money, then, well, yeah, you turn into a corrupt elite, maybe. But that's what we're going to be talking about. That's what we're going to be watching today. A video on the most disturbing crimes of the elite. This video is by Moon. So as always, link to the video and link to the channel will be in the description below. So be sure to check them out. Let's get it.
From abusing the children of your supporters to controlling social media companies, manipulating the stock market, and stealing taxpayer money for their lavish lifestyles, here are some of the worst crimes of politicians.
Damn.
Starting with possibly one of the biggest talking points leading into the 2020 election. In December 2019, a repair shop owner in Wilmington, Delaware was in possession of a laptop that had laid around for some time as the owner of the laptop did not pay or return to claim it. The shop owner had held the laptop for over a year already, and his repair job was to recover all the data on the laptop. Looking for more information on the client who hadn't paid and who had dropped his laptop off, the shop owner started looking through the documents on the hard drive, and what he found on the laptop were emails, photos, and documents that would become the epicenter of a political storm. Documents and emails suggested that Hunter Biden, son of future President Joe Biden, was involved in some very dodgy business dealings, particularly with Ukraine and China. And while the laptop was Hunter Biden's, there was a lot of evidence on this laptop pointing to then Vice President Joe Biden's involvement. It was instantaneously clear that Hunter has been leveraging his family name for financial gain. This is known as the practice of influence peddling. Many emails contained a reference to the big guy, which most interpreted as a nickname for Joe Biden himself. The documents pointed to Joe Biden allegedly engaged in an extortion scheme where he was paid through Hunter Biden $5 million in exchange for certain unknown actions, where Hunter Biden would secure lucrative consulting contracts with foreign companies despite his lack of qualifications, particularly in Ukraine just before the war, where he had many contracts with the energy industry that seemed very suspiciously connected to Joe Biden. Many of the contracts involved lobbying US officials and government agencies on behalf of these foreign entities. Despite the information about the dealings being public for years now, there's still very little evidence of the work Hunter Biden did after securing the contracts, so he essentially went to these businesses and picked up bags of cash for an unknown reason, with almost no tax returns or really any evidence of business dealings. And despite multiple emails and messages referring to decisions from the big guy, Joe maintained that he knew about his son's business dealings, and this was all checked through, with no real influence on US government actions to benefit any of these foreign interests. Something that does seem unlikely, as one of the leaked messages from one of the Biden family associates even told Hunter, "Don't mention Joe being involved, it's only when you are face to face."
What's that say? Don't mention Joe, it's only face to face. I know you know that, but they are paranoid. Okay, they should be paranoid about things. I'll say that one. Say for real. Talk to Jim briefly. Something. Man, this shit they get away with, bro. Especially like when he mentioned how the other guy, despite his qualifications, he was still just pretty much is using his name, his influence, and the money to do it, to get things done, or get what he wanted to get done.
There's also a leaked phone call between Joe and Hunter in 2018, speaking directly about one of Hunter's business deals, where Joe mentions Hunter is in the clear.
Hey pal, it's Dad. It's 8:15 on Wednesday night. If you get a chance, give me a call. Nothing urgent. Just want to talk to you. I thought the article, at least the thing online, is going to be printed tomorrow in the Times, was good. I think it's clear. And anyway, if you get a chance, give me a call. I love you.
Additionally, Joe Biden dined with oligarchs from Russia and Kazakhstan who funneled millions of dollars to Hunter Biden and his business associates. In 2017, Hunter Biden and other associates working for a Chinese company called CFEC created a profit divide plan with the CEFC. This was a Chinese Communist Party-linked energy company, and Joe Biden would receive 10% of the profits, completely compromising his position as the president. being entangled with the Communist Party of China. Joe Biden even used taxpayer money in Air Force 2 to get Hunter to at least 15 countries where Hunter made business deals to enrich the Biden family. And at the same time, this business genius Hunter Biden was a complete maniac. Drugs, crack, sex tapes, guns, prostitutes, driving 120 miles per hour, prostitutes linked to Eastern European sex trafficking rings. This is the lifestyle of somebody involved in more than just fraudulent business deals. He has nothing to do with business, no business acumen. He's a complete wreck, no discipline, and a fully deranged drug addict. Obviously, this is a big deal, but it was how the president and those who supported him handled the situation that is incredibly alarming. Instead of
so even knowing he was doing all this, knowing this is how he acted, but no one wanted to say, hey, no one wanted to put their foot down. No one wanted to stop him. Everybody encouraged him pretty much and pretty much assisted him in his actions or being able to do whatever he wanted to do. What the fuck, man? Money really be, no, it's not. I guess it's not really money, but corrupt people with money really just be trying to do the most.
Of allowing this story to play out in the public domain, just before Joe Biden was elected to be the president, social media platforms worked together to make sure he would become the president, taking unprecedented steps to limit the spread of the story. Because if this story became widely known by the public, it would completely ruin Joe Biden's chance of ever being president. So soon after the New York Post reported and promoted the Hunter Biden laptop story,
Smoking Gun email reveals how Hunter Biden introduced Ukrainian businessman to VP dad.
Twitter employees elected to prevent its spread as much as possible, and the first thing they did was temporarily lock the New York Post Twitter account, as they were the first ones to break the story.
Hold up.
Temporarily lock the New York Post Twitter account, as they were the first ones to break the story.
So the New York Post Twitter account found out the information, was trying to break the story, and they got their account locked because this is something that would harm, Biden's presidency or whatever. And they wanted to suppress the spread of this news, this information from the public finding out about it. That's messed up. Like if the public knew about, Hunter Biden and Joe Biden's, doings and stuff like that, if they all knew, would Biden have been able to get president? How long would he have been kicked out of presidency? I forgot the word I'm looking for. It escapes my mind at the moment. But removed from presidency. But people go through so much shit just to try and protect that. Why? So you have a bunch of corrupt friends trying to hide your corruption?
Completely censoring one of the most famous newspapers out there, all because this exposed Joe Biden. And this was at the pinnacle of Biden's election campaign, and those running Twitter were primarily Democratic. That's at least what a lot of Republicans would come to conclude. But when Elon Musk took over Twitter, he was able to see reality. While Trump was president, the government and the FBI were paying Twitter millions of taxpayer money to censor and suppress Hunter Biden.
Elon Musk claims the FBI paid Twitter to censor info from the public. Here's what Twitter files actually show. So I guess shit, man, it's a good thing Elon stepped up to buy Twitter and stuff like that. Because he was like, yo, this is dumb. Look at this at the top. Greed is driving the US market. But yeah, he was like, all this information being suppressed, the public actually needs to know about this. They need to know who they're electing into office. They need to know who they're trusting their country and their country. So like that. That's
laptop story. As the Twitter files put it, the FBI and the intelligence community discredited factual information about Hunter Biden's foreign business dealings both after and before the New York Post revealed the contents of his laptop on October 14, 2020. Additionally, the FBI made requests to mark and dismiss the reports of Hunter Biden's laptop as a Russian hack and leak operation. And it wasn't just on Twitter, this was happening on every social media company. If you spoke about the Hunter Biden laptop story, you would get censored and removed. Here's what Mark Zuckerberg had to say about the censorship over at Facebook.
I mean, basically the background here is the FBI, I think, basically came to us, some folks on our team, and was like, hey, just so you know, you should be on high alert. We thought that there was a lot of Russian propaganda in the 2016 election, and on notice that basically there's about to be some kind of dump that's similar to that, so just be vigilant.
And we're talking about the FBI task team that was set out to remove disinformation by spreading misinformation regarding the laptop.
So real quick for that Facebook thing, have you ever shared an article or something that you found and then later on, eventually, you get like a notification saying, you know, your post has been removed or hidden because it quote unquote contains misinformation, something like that. So is that why that happens? Huh? It could actually be misinformation, but it also could actually be something that's they're just trying some actual factual information that they're just trying to suppress. Holy shit.
All to get Joe Biden into power, they were covering up something deep and was only benefiting one man, Joe Biden. And while covering up the Hunter story, Twitter was also suppressing Donald Trump and other Republicans. So how does a man who is not sitting in office have the FBI and social media websites like Twitter and Facebook all protecting the Biden family as a whole? While the FBI appears to be single-minded and focused on helping Joe Biden by completely eroding the First Amendment and working with big tech to silence anything that criticizes the elite. And by suppressing the story, these tech companies effectively shield Joe Biden from potentially damaging revelations, and it appears that Joe Biden leveraged his connections with big tech to control the narrative and ensure that Joe Biden's son's laptop leak was kept out of the public eye. And while Hunter Biden has been charged for some of his crimes, the man still walks free today, where most would definitely be sitting in prison. But this is hardly the worst political crime out there. So let's move on to the other side of the pond. And
real quick though, what does Joe give them? Why would they protect him so bad? What do they get in return? Is it because he's willing to? Would it be question mark? Like, is it like a puppetry thing? Like he's willing to do and say anything for those people? That's why they want to protect him. Is that something? Is it something like that? I wonder. I don't know, man.
And look into the life of Lord Edwin Greville Janner. In his younger life, Janner wants to be like his father, Baron Janner, who played an important role as Member of Parliament of the UK government. So right after school, he went to one of the finest universities in the world, Cambridge University, working tirelessly for a degree in law. From there, he followed his father's footsteps and became a barrister, meaning he can now advocate in the higher courts. In his career, he was successful, and in 1970, Janner entered the political world like many do at Cambridge. In fact, his dream to be like his father came at the perfect time because Janner won a seat as the Labour Member of Parliament for Leicester North West, becoming a notable politician in the area. And it was exactly the same seat that his father was in until this point. And Janner lived a very successful life and remained an MP for 27 years. He was married and he had 3 kids. And throughout his political career, he continued to practice law and became a Queen's Counsel. Janner was also a Jew and very proud of this, becoming well renowned in the field of education about the Holocaust. Everything seemed perfect about him. A well-educated, disciplined man, following in his father's footsteps. And in 1997, Janner was eventually given the title Baron Janner of Braunstone, and he was now in the House of Lords, one of the most honorary titles to hold. His political career continued until 2015, being well renowned for a man who served his country well and gaining the respect of the public. But
okay, yeah, there's the but. I knew it was coming because I was like, okay, so far so everything seems genuine. Like he worked hard to get his position, and he was well respected and seems trusted. So what's going on? What's going on? What went wrong?
But he wasn't always the honest man that he seemed, and all of this would soon come to light as a police investigation of Janner became very public. In 2013, the Crown Prosecution Service announced that Lord Janner would be prosecuted for alleged child sex abuse offences, something he'd been accused of before, with his allegations going back all the way to 1955.
Holy shit!
Included in these accusations were 30 counts of sex offences against underage boys between the 50s and late 80s, most of whom were from children's homes in Leicester, the place that he was supposed to be looking after. So how did he get away with this for so long, and how did he trick the public into
the place that he was supposed to be looking after, and he just
voting for him? Well, it's because he was protected for years. The situation surrounding the allegations against Janner involved vulnerable children and young people who were in a position where they should have been cared for and protected. But while an MP, Janner formed a close relationship with the manager of a children's care home, which allowed him access to the children residing there. Janner then used this as a passage allowing him to have full access to commit severe sexual offences against these children. On 3 previous occasions, he had been accused of sexually abusing boys. This was a man in Parliament versus an average young man. Janner Janner was protected by the halo effect. He had family connections with the elite of England, whilst also benefiting from being perceived as a person to always be good because of his good political reputation. For Janner, people's positive perception of him as a result of his public service and philanthropy made it difficult for them to accept or investigate such serious allegations. So when a 14-year-old came forward in 1991 claiming that Janner sexually abused him when he was much younger, it was pretty much brushed to the side. The young man spoke in detail about what Janner had done to him, but his voice was muffled by those who believed Janner wouldn't do such a thing. This, coupled with the fact that the allegations were not part of any formal legal proceedings, meant it sort of blew past Janner in his career. Janner of course denied such things. This was the first and only accusation Janner received until 2002. And here's where Janner's position as a politician came into play. See, the Leicester police initiated an investigation into the allegations against Janner as another victim came forward. The way in which the police handled the case allowed it to be swept under the rug. They failed to pass the claims towards Janner forward. They didn't put much resources towards the allegations and ultimately failed to gather sufficient evidence to support criminal charges against Janner. On the
Damn, bro. So you skipped again. Look, man, I'm gonna say, I was trying to figure out how to say this, so I'm gonna say it this way. If Light Yagami and Ryuk were real, I see why he did what he was doing. The world would be a completely different place.
On the outside, this just meant that the case died, but this was further proof that even the police were afraid to take the necessary steps to charge a man in power. This is somebody who could significantly make or break your career. The officers involved in the investigation knew this, and so throwing out the investigation was the best move they could make to protect themselves. In 2006, a third victim came forward with claims of sexual abuse.
You can't be mad at them for throwing out the investigation to protect themselves because they have families to feed. They have the families to take care of. They have their own thing they got to handle. And so, of course, they, threw out the investigation. And of course, they didn't want to mess with somebody who could like make or break their career. And let's say he just did more than break their career. He could get them thrown in prison on false charges and shit like that.
While he was underage back in 1981. At this point, Janner had gotten away with it twice, so why even stress about this case? So Janner didn't even address the allegation, and just like the other two times, the police put the case to rest as soon as it started. And you see, one of the most significant challenges in historical child sexual abuse cases is the passage of time. The longer it takes for victims to come forward with their allegations, the more difficult it becomes to gather evidence. Memories fade, physical evidence may be lost, and witnesses may become harder to locate. There was no medical records, photographs, or anything substantial to go behind the allegations. So Janner got away with it again. But make no mistake, the police letting these cases go were also completely to blame here. Janner was R-wording multiple children, and despite 3 victims coming forward, he was still walking free, running the country, never even being prosecuted because of his high-up political connections. It took 22 years from the first allegation and a 4th case against the 85-year-old Janner before the police finally took things seriously. In 2013, multiple of Janner's victims came together in a single statement against Janner. There was no dismissing the case this time, and in 2014, Crown Prosecution Service announced that Janner's official prosecution for sexual abuse against minors was in full swing, confirming all the previous allegations and even reprimanding those handling the previous allegations. Director of Public Prosecutions, Alison Saunders, said, "The inquiry's findings that mistakes were made confirms my view that failings in the past by prosecutors and police meant that proceedings were not brought. It is a matter of sincere regret that on 3 occasions, opportunities to put the allegations against Lord Janner before a jury were not taken." Finally, Janner was facing some serious criminal charges. 14 indecent assaults on a male under 16 between 1969 and 1988, 2 indecent assaults between 1984 and 1988, 4 counts of buggery of a male under 16 between 1972 and 1987, 2 counts of buggery between 1977 and 1988, and yet still, Janner would never see a day behind bars, because in 2009, Lord Janner was diagnosed with Alzheimer's. According to his doctor, his condition had gotten severely worse around the same time the allegations came.
Well, at least he had to suffer through that. At least he had to suffer that. But for them to take this long to even try to get him in behind bars because of the power he held, because of the people he knew, it's ridiculous, man. It's bullshit. And of course, like I get those, like I said before, I get those FBI agents not wanting to risk their jobs and careers because they probably have families to feed and families to take care of. But at the same time, somebody's got to be willing to step up, and because this is ridiculous. But even if it was one of the FBI agents, their superior would have forced them to step down or gotten rid of them because that superior would have been worried about his own position. This is so. It's crazy how people can get away with things like this for so long just because of who they know and what they're capable of.
Up against him. He wouldn't be able to even remember anything, and so the CPS ruled that Jenner would not be able to participate in a criminal trial due to his medical condition, explaining that he would inevitably be found unfit to plead, unfit to instruct his legal team, and unfit to challenge or provide evidence in a trial. As a result, a criminal trial to determine his guilt or innocence regarding any alleged offences could never proceed properly. So, Janner got away with it again. And then eventually in 2015, Janner would pass away, and the cases died with him. It didn't matter that 30 victims of his crimes were ready to stand against him, he got away with it. With the right connections, the right charm, and enough power, he could overcome the law. However, thankfully, the same could not be said for our next politician, who found himself behind bars for his crimes.
This is ridiculous. All right, we're gonna end this one here. If you want to watch the full video, link will be in the description below. Again, man, this sickens me, bro. Like, I didn't think it was gonna be this bad, but then again, things like Epstine Island happened, so yeah, I should have expected it. And it's just, we need better systems in place to prevent the corruption from the elites being taken place. You know, we need better systems in place. But then again, how is that gonna happen when we when if we try to set up a law for it, or you know, a justice system for it? There's already the people who are corrupt already have their fingers, their tentacles, their tendrils, whatever, and so deep into the system that they can prevent the system that we would try to build from actually being built. Or even if somehow that system managed to get built, they would be able to prevent it from actually reaching them in a way. I guess this is why like vigilantes and superheroes and comics and magazines and anime and everything, and Shinigami with, you know, notebooks that where if you write somebody's name, things happen to them, that people fantasize about those things so much and enjoy those stories so much, because those are the only ones that are those in those fantasy stories are the only way people like this actually face, you know, justice. And we don't have that here in the real world. So it's yeah. But anyway, this is, as always, link to video, link to the channel, both in the description below. So be sure to check out Moon. And while you're there, don't forget to do those 3 things that I like to ask you to do. And like, comment, and subscribe. And don't forget to hit the notification bell for more videos. Yeah. And you know what it is after that. In case I don't see you, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. Peace and much love to you. Oops.